Welcome to the newest episode of Beatin' and Bangin'. I'm your host, Kyle Dalton. We're back! Welcome everyone to the 2025 NASCAR season, and I'm happy to report we got off to a hell of a start yesterday in the clash at Bowman Gray, with Chase Elliott dominating and winning the race in just one of the storylines that had a weekend full of them. However, before we get to the on-track action on Sunday, I want to go back to Saturday and driver media availabilities. Since it's the start of a new season, reporters had their first opportunities to visit with the drivers and ask them questions about changes NASCAR had made in the off-season. We'll start off with Denny Hamlin and his thoughts on the open exemption provisional that will allow Elio Castroneves into the Daytona 500 regardless if he qualifies or not.
I don't know. I just think, I just, it reaps of desperation. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know how nice you can really say it. It just feels like you're really trying to get any kind of headline you can to be relevant. And I don't love it.
Okay, well, it exists.
I think I know. To me, it's a short-term gain, long-term loss. I just think that you're the premier stock car series in the U.S., the premier racing sport in the U.S., be the big boys, and force people to come in here and get their credentials and do it the natural way. I don't think it's going to be a big factor really anywhere other than Daytona. But just simply put, saying that someone has a name that interests you and that they're going to have an automatic bid into the highest form of motorsports in the U.S., I don't love it.
Hamlin was alone in his presser while Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott did a joint conference, in a case of foreshadowing. During his remarks, the Hendrick Motorsports driver talked about the clash and had an interesting suggestion of where NASCAR might take it in the future.
Ryan's thought of potentially getting outside the United States, and I know we're kind of testing the waters a little bit with the Mexico City thing this year, but I think the real test would be going overseas. And this race would be a good opportunity to do something like that wouldn't be committing to a points race somewhere like a long ways away. So I like the idea of using it as a potential stepping stone to help grow the sport. And I almost feel like if we're not going to do that, I'm not even sure that it's totally necessary, either. I do think it's a good opportunity to shake things down and kind of get in the groove, but we just ran, a month and a half ago. It wasn't that long ago. Either. So I think for me, I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying I think everything's on the table, and I'd be good either way, whether it's here, Daytona, if they want to do it in Europe, if they want to not do it at all, I'd be fine with any of the above.
Interestingly, Elliott's Saturday remarks were validated on Sunday when the Sports Business Journal's Adam Stern posted on X about the potential of NASCAR going international. Quote, NASCAR is using its season-opening Clash exhibition this year to go back to a classic venue that the Cup Series hasn't run at since 1971 in Bowman Gray Stadium. But next year, the event could be held overseas, possibly Brazil, as the racing property also looks to grow globally. This year, Mexico, next year, Brazil? Sign me up. The more eyeballs on the sport from anywhere on the planet, the better. Back to the press conferences, and Elliott and Blaney were asked many of the same questions, including the current state of the sport. The 2020 champ said he felt NASCAR is heading in a good direction. Blaney offered similar thoughts with a little extra spice for some of the sport's most outspoken critics.
Yeah, I agree with Chase. I think the sport, he and I have been around the sport watching our dads run it for a long time, and, I think, like he said, they've been making some decisions and changing some stuff up that the most they've ever have, and in a positive way. A lot of people crap on it for some reason, the sport and decisions that, NASCAR makes, and it's like, why? I really don't understand why people take a dump on decisions that these guys and girls are making, because I haven't really seen many that are bad. Like, everyone has their opinion, and that's fine, but every time I look at social media, they're just like, oh my God, it's terrible right now. It's in an awful spot. And it's like, why is that? I really don't understand. As a competitor, I don't think it is. I think it's great right now. So I do think it's in a good place. Not everything's going to be a home run on, things that NASCAR does or whatever, but I really think it is moving in a positive direction, and it has been for, years, I think.
You heard the Team Penske driver talk about NASCAR's willingness to make changes in recent years and how he liked them. One off-season change Blaney and Elliott didn't discuss was the removal of the rookie stripe in 2025. However, Mike Joy and Clint Bowyer did address the subject several hours later on Fox's coverage of the practice and qualifying sessions.
Look at what's missing on the back of that car. There is no yellow bumper anymore for rookie drivers in the top levels of NASCAR.
I don't like it.
Without explanation or attribution, they have made that change. The yellow bumper is gone.
Speaking of Fox, I unfortunately have to report something that has not changed in 2025, and quite honestly, I didn't expect it to. That's Fox's poor coverage. For starters, this is a quarter-mile track, so realistically, it's easy for the cameras to capture the action on the entire track, not for Fox. And what happens when you're zoomed in too close? The cameras and fans miss the action. Here's a perfect example that highlights Fox's lackluster coverage.
You can't go 3 wide here, can you?
Yep.
No,
Still
21
3 wide.
3 wide and the 21's around.
And now Kyle Busch is around.
Kyle Busch in turn 1 goes for a spin, and we're back to caution.
And that clip obviously takes us to the racing action on Saturday. That occurred in the first heat. Take a listen to the radio of the two-time champion after the incident and why he received a warning from NASCAR for his actions.
Never gave me one corner. Oh, I'm aware. I got plenty to save. I'm trying to turn a new leaf and stay off them here. Give it to them when you need it, when it matters. All right, we're getting warning here. They said this is the last warning. Come off the bumper. It's okay to do it under green, though. Got it.
Also during the Saturday broadcast, Fox aired an interview with Kyle Larson and asked him what he's looking forward to in the network's 25th season of covering NASCAR.
I've enjoyed the banter whenever we get a red flag or after a stage break, and and Clint will radio into my radio, and I love to bust his balls because it's really easy to. That's where I get the most fun out of the Fox part of the season.
Ouch! Clint resumes the 2025 NASCAR season as Fox's resident punching bag. The other big story of note in that first heat was Ryan Blaney finished last due to mechanical issues. He would be forced to go to the Last Chance Qualifier on Sunday. I think the other big thing of note from the heats came in Heat 2 when Bubba Wallace hilariously fired back at a fan on X in response to a video that showed the fan giving the number 23 driver the bird. Quote, "I'm gonna guess more fingers than teeth on that cat," the 2311 Racing driver replied. The heat winners from Saturday were Chase Elliott, Chris Buescher, Denny Hamlin, and Tyler Reddick. Big names forced to race in the Last Chance Qualifier and earn a berth in Sunday's main event were Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, and Ty Gibbs. On Sunday in the LCQ, Blaney took the smart strategy and claimed the provisional since he was the highest finishing driver from the 2024 season standings after Logano had already qualified for the main event in his heat. The number 12 ran 23 laps in the LCQ and retired to the garage. Meanwhile, Larson, who started 10th, steadily moved his way forward. When the caution came out on lap 17, the 2021 champ had already progressed up to second behind Ty Gibbs. On lap 30, the HMS car made the pass for the lead. Gibbs, who many expect to get his first Cup win this year, struggled with his car in the latter part of the LCQ and on lap 64 tangled with Justin Haley. The Joe Gibbs Racing driver was not happy about the incident and responded in a move that got the number 54 airborne. However, on the radio, the driver didn't even mention it.
Keep it rolling here if you can. The infield's away. Keep it rolling. Good to come out.
We got left front damage. They come to you.
Hold on here. Watch the opening here. Come at you guys. I just run over to the right side of the 7.
You can hear the 54 spotter saying how he just ran over the right side of the number 7. But Gibbs didn't so much as acknowledge it. A new, calmer Ty Gibbs in 2025? I sure hope not. Gibbs failed to qualify for the main event. Larson and Josh Berry were the top 2 finishers and advanced to Sunday night's big show. Chase Elliott started on the pole of the main event in front of a packed madhouse and pulled out to the early lead. On lap 20, Kyle Busch was involved in the first of 7 cautions on the night. He was the last car in a chain reaction that started when Daniel Suarez got into Noah Gragson, who got into Busch, who went for a spin. Unsurprisingly, Busch was unhappy. Surprisingly, however, it wasn't with his fellow competitors.
Get it rolling up here. You can probably spin around to the left at the opening. What you got there? Fucking no drive off. Can't touch the gas. You got anything for me? Yeah. Jack it up, pull the packer out of the right rear, and take a 3/4 of a round out of the right rear.
Not happy with his car in the first race of the season. Could this become a trend? I'll be watching. Moving forward to just prior to the halfway point of the race and intermission. Hamlin passed Elliott on lap 97 and Tyler Reddick followed. At the break, the top 5 consisted of Hamlin, Reddick, Elliott, Chris Buescher, and Brad Keselowski. Blaney, who started the race last and 23rd, had impressively moved up to 10th. The race's second half got off to a rough start for Kyle Larson, who was spun by Austin Cindric on lap 102. Just 7 laps later, it was Christopher Bell's turn to get a little payback on Carson Hocevar. Here's what Bell had to say about it on the team radio.
Inside. He's been doing that to everybody. Clear low. He just shoved you there. Wasn't nothing you could do. All right. Take care of it. Yeah, I didn't mean to do that.
With just over 50 laps to go in the race, Fox showed a graphic of the biggest movers. As you can see, Blaney was hauling the mail in his number 12 car and had moved all the way up to second behind his friend, Chase Elliott. The question was, could Blaney pull it off and pass the number 9? Last year at the LA Coliseum, the 2023 champ started last and finished third. In the 2025 edition, Blaney got close but was never able to make the pass and had to settle for second. Elliott, who led a race-high 171 laps, closed out his dominant weekend with a trip to victory lane. It was a fantastic start to the 2025 campaign, and the official kickoff comes in less than 2 weeks at Daytona. I'll be there. All right, guys, that's a wrap on today's episode. I want to hear what you thought about it. First, I want to hear your thoughts on the actual racing itself. I enjoyed it because there were plenty of opportunities to pass, as Ryan Blaney proved. And what did you think about Fox's coverage? Were you surprised? And lastly, before I wrap this up, I want to ask you for your help. I'm visiting with Ryan Blaney this week. I'm going to ask him a question or two from you guys. So fire off your best question in the comments and let's see if I ask it. If so, I'll send you a special prize. Thank you guys for checking out the first episode in the 2025 NASCAR season. Looking forward to going on this journey with you guys for the rest of the year. Thanks as always for supporting the channel and have a great rest of your day.